Outlaws attack weak old man. They freeze when they see his tribal tattoo. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Imagine the dust of the frontier settling over a small, isolated ranch in the far west. The sun hangs low, casting long shadows across the barren land. It's here that we meet an old man, bent with age and weary from years of living alone. His name is Walter, and his ranch is tucked far from the nearest town, where no one bothers him, and his days are spent in quiet solitude. His clothes are simple, worn from years of use, and his hands tremble slightly with the frailty of old age. Despite his outward weakness, there's something about him that commands respect. He carries the weight of a history few know. And most importantly, there's a tattoo, a tribal marking on his arm that tells a story of its own. A marking that, unbeknownst to him, holds more power than he realizes. As the day comes to an end, the sound of hooves breaks the stillness. A group of outlaw riders, known for their ruthless ways and cold hearts, have caught wind of the old man's isolation. They believe him to be an easy target, someone they can rob and leave behind without a second thought. But as they approach the ranch, their eyes catch sight of the frail figure standing in his doorway. They see the tattoo on his arm, and a chill runs down their spines. The outlaw leader, a man named Tom, pauses. His eyes narrow as he stares at the old man's tribal marking. There's something about it that seems familiar. His hand instinctively hovers near the handle of his gun. The old man doesn't flinch. He stands tall, despite the years that have bent his body. His face is weathered, but his eyes are sharp, filled with a knowledge that only time can bestow. Tom's voice breaks the silence. That tattoo, it's not just any marking. It's from the Wounded Bear tribe. The words hang in the air, heavy with unspoken history. The other outlaws, sensing something strange, begin to tense up. The power of the old man's tattoo isn't just a symbol of a forgotten past. It's a warning. Tom knows this. The tribe that once bore this mark was known for its fierce warriors, and their legacy is something even the bravest men fear. As the tension rises, Walter slowly raises his hand, and with a calm voice, he speaks. "You've made a grave mistake," he says, his words carrying weight. The outlaws, unsure of what to make of this old man and his strange power, hesitate. They've underestimated him, but they're not ready to back down just yet. And so, the confrontation begins. But little do they know, Walter is not just any old man. His past, his tribe, and his tattoo carry secrets they are about to learn the hard way. The tension in the air is thick as Walter stands firm, facing the outlaws. His weathered eyes meet Tom's, and there's a moment of stillness, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Tom's hand hovers over the grip of his revolver, his gaze locked onto the old man's tattoo. The rest of the outlaws, unsure of what to do next, exchange uneasy glances. The marking on Walter's arm is not just a piece of art. It's a legacy, one that speaks of power, respect, and ancient warriors that even the most ruthless men would think twice before challenging. Tom, despite his bravado, feels a knot form in his stomach. This isn't the first time he's crossed paths with a man of legend, but it's the first time he's seen such a mark on someone so seemingly vulnerable. The outlaw leader speaks again, his voice shaking slightly. "You don't look like much, old man. But that tattoo, it's got a story, doesn't it?" Walter doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he takes a slow, deliberate step forward, the weight of his years not slowing him down. His eyes never leave Tom's as he speaks, his voice calm, but carrying a weight that demands attention. "You've heard the stories, haven't you? The Wounded Bear tribe was more than just a group of fighters. We were the guardians of the land, protectors of a way of life that even men like you don't understand." There's a slight pause, and the wind picks up, carrying the scent of the dry earth and the faint sound of distant hoofs. Walter's words hang in the air like a challenge, and for a moment, Tom and the outlaws are left speechless. They came here expecting an easy mark, a defenseless old man, but now they're faced with something far more dangerous, something they don't know how to handle. Tom shifts uncomfortably, his hand still on his gun. You think that tattoo makes you untouchable? You're just an old fool hiding behind legends. The old man's gaze sharpens, his voice growing colder. You know nothing about the power that runs through my veins. You've made the mistake of thinking this is just a mark. But it's more than that. It's a warning. Walter steps back, his right hand resting on the handle of a weathered rifle leaning against the doorframe. The outlaws, sensing the change in the air, instinctively start to reach for their weapons, but it's too late. With a speed that defies his age, Walter raises his rifle and fires a single shot. The crack of the gun echoes across the land, and in that moment, time seems to slow. One of the outlaws, the youngest of the group, stumbles backward, clutching his shoulder. His scream fills the air, and the other outlaws freeze in place. Tom's eyes widen in disbelief. The old man wasn't just talking. He wasn't just a frail figure waiting to die in silence. Walter had struck first, and with deadly accuracy. You came here thinking you could take what wasn't yours, Walter says, his voice low but filled with power. Now you've learned what happens when you disrespect the land and the people who were meant to protect it. Tom takes a step back, the fear in his eyes now unmistakable. The old man's power isn't just in the stories he told. It's in the very air around him, in the weight of his words, and in the strength of his actions. For the first time, the outlaws realize they've miscalculated. This isn't going to be an easy fight. It's a battle for something much bigger than money or territory. It's a fight for respect, for survival, and for the legacy of the wounded bear tribe. As the youngest outlaw falls to the ground, clutching his wound, the others hesitate. The realization hits them all at once. They are outmatched. Walter stands tall, unshaken by the chaos unfolding before him. Leave now, he commands, his voice echoing across the empty land. Leave before I show you just how far my reach extends. Tom looks at his wounded comrade, then back at Walter. The decision is made in an instant. The outlaws turn and flee, retreating into the distance. The quiet of the desert returns, and Walter is left alone once again. But as he watches the dust settle, he knows this is far from over. The story of his tribe, of his tattoo, is one that will live on. And those who dare challenge it will learn the consequences the hard way. The silence of the desert feels heavy in the aftermath of the confrontation. Walter stands alone, his rifle still resting in his hands, as the outlaws retreat into the distance. The wounded man's cries fade into the wind, and the tension in the air slowly dissipates. Walter's eyes scan the horizon, the weight of the battle settling over him like a cloak. He had defended his land, his tribe's legacy, but he knows this is far from the end. He turns and walks back into his small cabin, the door creaking as he pushes it open. Inside, the quiet hum of his life returns to normal, but something in the air feels different now. The tattoo on his arm, once a symbol of forgotten strength, now carries a power that is impossible to ignore. He leans his rifle against the wall and sits down by the fire, the flames dancing in the hearth. His thoughts drift back to the days when he was a warrior, when he fought alongside his tribe to protect the land they all held sacred. He recalls the battles fought in the rugged mountains, the fierce resistance against those who tried to take their land. But those days are long gone. His tribe is no more, scattered to the winds, their power lost to the passage of time. Yet, the tattoo remains. It is the last link to a world that no longer exists, a reminder of a legacy that has survived against all odds. As he sits there, the wind picks up outside, rattling the cabin windows. Walter listens to the sound of the breeze, feeling a familiar stirring in his chest. The old man had learned long ago to listen to the land, to feel the pulse of the earth beneath his feet. And right now, the earth is restless. He stands up, his bones creaking with age, and walks to the door. His eyes scan the vast emptiness around him. He knows that the outlaws won't be the last to come. The land is filled with people who want what he has, his land, his history, his legacy. But they don't know what they're up against. They don't know the power of the wounded bear tribe, or the strength that still runs through his veins. As Walter steps outside, the cool air brushes against his skin, and he feels the weight of his tattoo once more. It's as though the old power of his tribe stirs within him, calling him back to the warrior he once was. But this time he is alone. No tribe to fight by his side, no comrades to help carry the burden. He is the last of his kind. The wind howls again, and Walter sets his jaw. He knows what he must do. His past has come to find him, and he can't hide from it any longer. The time has come to defend the land that was once his people's, to protect the legacy of the wounded bear tribe. The outlaws were just the beginning. As he walks into the night, the faint sound of hooves reaches his ears. He knows that others will come, drawn by the legend of the old man with the tribal tattoo. But he is ready. The earth beneath his feet feels steady now, as though it is rooting him in place, preparing him for whatever comes next. Walter's heart beats in time with the rhythm of the land. His steps are slow but sure, carrying him toward the future, whatever that may be. The night sky stretches above him, filled with stars, and for a moment, he feels the presence of his ancestors, watching over him from the great expanse. He knows that he is not truly alone. His tribe may be gone, but their strength, their spirit, lives on through him. And that, he realizes, is the true power of the tattoo. It is not just a mark on his skin. It is the last remnant of a legacy that refuses to die. The moon hangs high over the desert, casting a pale light across the rugged landscape. Walter moves silently through the night, his boots barely making a sound against the dry earth. The air is thick with tension as he walks toward the distant ridge. He feels the weight of the past on his shoulders, and yet, he knows he cannot escape it. The outlaws may have fled, but they are not the only threat to his peace. There are others out there, more dangerous, more determined, and they will come for him eventually. His thoughts drift back to the time before the land was lost, when his people thrived, when his tribe was a force to be reckoned with. The wounded bear tribe was known for their strength, their resilience, and their wisdom. But those days are gone. His people have scattered, and the once great tribe is now a shadow of its former self. Walter is the last of them, the final guardian of their legacy. He stops for a moment, looking out over the vast expanse of land that once belonged to his people. It is a land that has seen so much bloodshed, so many battles fought, but now it is quiet, almost peaceful. He can feel the presence of his ancestors, as though they are watching over him, guiding him, urging him to stand firm. He takes a deep breath and continues his journey, the weight of his purpose driving him forward. As he walks, the sound of hooves reaches his ears. At first, it is faint, but it grows louder with each passing second. Walter's instincts sharpen. He knows what it means. The outlaws are back, but they are not alone. He steps off the path and hides behind a boulder, peering out into the darkness. The riders are coming closer, their horses thundering across the ground. He counts them. There are 5 of them. The same outlaws that he had faced before, but now they are joined by others. These are not the men he faced earlier. These riders are different, more organized, more prepared. They have come for one thing, to destroy him. Walter feels his pulse quicken, but he remains calm. His hand rests on the hilt of his rifle, and he takes a moment to steady his breath. He knows that the time for words is over. The time for action has come. The riders stop just ahead, their eyes scanning the land as they dismount. Walter watches them carefully, noting their every move. The leader, Tom, steps forward, a wicked smile spreading across his face. He raises his hand and signals to the others. "He's here somewhere," Tom says, his voice carrying across the night. "We'll find him, and when we do, we'll make him pay for what he did." Walter doesn't flinch. He knows they are close, but he isn't worried. He has faced worse than this, and he knows how to survive. As the men begin to spread out, Walter waits for the right moment. He knows this land like the back of his hand. He knows where they'll be and where they'll try to trap him. But Walter has his own traps set, ones that will turn the tide in his favor. The outlaws search for him, but they don't realize that they are walking right into his plan. They don't know that he has been preparing for this moment his entire life. He has trained, fought, and bled for the land, for his people, and for the legacy of the wounded bear tribe. Now, it is time to make them pay. Walter takes a deep breath, then steps out from his hiding place, rifle raised. He fires a shot into the air, a warning to the men who think they can defeat him. The sound of the shot rings out across the desert, and the riders freeze. They are momentarily disoriented, but they quickly recover, drawing their weapons. Tom snarls, "There he is. Get him." The battle is fierce. Walter fights with a strength and skill that surprises even him. The years have not dulled his senses, and the power of his tribe runs through his veins. One by one, the outlaws fall. They are no match for him, not with the land on his side, not with the legacy of the wounded bear tribe coursing through him. Tom is the last to fall, his weapon knocked from his hand as he stumbles back. Walter stands over him, his rifle aimed at Tom's chest. "You thought you could take everything from me," Walter says, his voice steady and cold. "But you underestimated the power of the land, the power of my people." Tom's eyes widen in fear as he realizes his mistake. "Please, spare me," he begs, his voice trembling. Walter's face hardens. "You came to take what wasn't yours," he says. "Now, you will pay the price." With a swift motion, Walter fires, and the battle is over. The silence that follows is deafening. Walter stands alone among the fallen, the dust settling around him. The land is quiet once more, but Walter knows this peace will not last. There will always be those who want to take what isn't theirs, but as long as he is here, the legacy of the wounded bear tribe will endure. The desert night is still, the only sound the whispering wind across the vast, empty landscape. Walter stands over the bodies of the outlaws, his rifle hanging loosely in his hand. His chest rises and falls with steady breaths, but his mind is elsewhere, lost in the weight of what has just transpired. He has defeated them, but victory feels hollow. The land is quiet again, but Walter knows that peace, like everything else in the West, is fleeting. His tribe is gone. His people are gone. The last of them is him, the last of the wounded bear tribe. He walks slowly, the burden of his past on his shoulders, and the future uncertain. As he leaves the bodies of the outlaws behind, his eyes scan the horizon once more. The world seems endless, and yet so small. It is a place where legends are born and die, where the old ways are forgotten, and where a man like Walter, alone and forgotten by time, must carry on. The sun is beginning to rise, casting long shadows across the desert floor. Walter moves toward his cabin, the only home he's ever known since the fall of his people. But the world outside is changing, and with it, the man who stands in the midst of it. He steps into the cabin, the door creaking behind him, and the warmth of the fire welcomes him like an old friend. He sets his rifle down and sits by the hearth, his hands trembling slightly from the weight of everything that has happened. It's a moment of solitude, but it is also a moment of reckoning. The old man is not a warrior anymore. He is just a man, living with the ghosts of the past. The crackling of the fire fills the silence, but even the flames cannot chase away the loneliness that clings to him. He pours himself a small cup of water, the only drink he has, and drinks deeply. The cold water feels good, but it doesn't ease the ache in his heart. There are no more people to fight for, no more tribe to defend. Just the land and the tattoo. The mark that binds him to the past, to his ancestors, to the power that once ran through the veins of his people. But the power is fading. He knows this. The strength of his tribe is a memory, and memories fade with time. The land, however, is timeless. Walter's mind drifts again to the days when he was young, when he fought alongside his people, when they were more than just a small tribe in the shadows of the mountains. They were a force, a family, a united front. But time, as it always does, took it all away. The world moved on. His people did not. Walter sets the cup down and stands, his back stiff with age. He knows he cannot remain in this place forever. The world outside is waiting for him, and the legacy of the wounded bear tribe is not something he can simply let fade away. He takes one last look at the fire, the flames dancing in the hearth, and steps outside. The sun is higher now, the light spilling across the earth like a golden river. As he walks across the land, the weight of the past still with him, he realizes that this land is not just his home. It is his duty. The world may have forgotten the wounded bear tribe, but Walter will not let them be forgotten. As he moves through the desert, the wind picks up again, carrying with it the scent of sagebrush and the promise of something more. Walter feels the pull of the earth beneath his feet, the weight of his ancestors urging him forward. He may be alone now, but the land is his to protect. And as long as he lives, the spirit of the wounded bear tribe will never die. It is not just a tattoo on his arm. It is a legacy, a living force, passed down through the generations. And Walter will carry it, no matter the cost. He has lived the life of a warrior, but now he must live the life of a guardian of the land, of the past, and of the future. As the sun rises higher, Walter walks into the horizon, ready to face whatever comes next. The world may have changed, but he hasn't. The wounded bear tribe lives on, through him, and through the land they once called home. The land stretches endlessly before Walter, its vast emptiness both comforting and unsettling. The sun, now high in the sky, beats down upon him as he walks, his steps steady and deliberate. The weight of his mission, of the legacy he carries, grows heavier with each step. He has become more than just a man. He is a guardian of a forgotten past, a protector of a legacy that could easily be erased by time and the greed of men. The outlaws are gone, but their threat lingers. Walter knows that this land, so rich in history, is coveted by others. It is not just a place of beauty or peace, but a place of power, a place that once belonged to a proud and mighty tribe. And that power still exists within the earth, within the memories of those who walked it before him. As Walter moves forward, he feels the pull of the earth beneath his boots, the same pull that has guided him for years. It is the land that keeps him connected to his people, to the ancestors whose blood runs through his veins. He is not just a survivor. He is the last living connection to a culture, to a way of life that once thrived in this very land. His ancestors, the wounded bear tribe, fought to protect it, and now he must do the same. He comes upon a small creek, its water flowing gently through the dry land. It is a place he knows well, a place where his people once gathered to honor the earth and its gifts. He pauses for a moment, his reflection shimmering on the surface of the water. For the first time in a long while, he feels a sense of peace. The creek, the land, the sky, they are all part of him, part of his people, and he feels their presence surrounding him. But peace is fleeting. Walter knows that the forces of greed, of men who would stop at nothing to claim what is not theirs, are always lurking in the distance. He senses it now, the faintest stirring of danger. He doesn't know who they are or when they will arrive, but he knows that they will come. And when they do, they will find that Walter is not the easy target they expect. He has no tribe to back him, no warriors to fight by his side, but he has the land, and that is enough. The sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the land, and Walter rises from the creek, his mind focused and clear. He knows what he must do. He cannot afford to wait for his enemies to find him. He must go to them, confront them before they can strike. The evening air is cool as he walks through the brush, his senses sharp, every sound amplified in the stillness. He knows that this is the beginning of something much larger than just his own survival. This is the beginning of a battle for the very soul of the land, for the legacy of the wounded bear tribe. He reaches the top of a hill and stops, scanning the horizon. There, in the distance, he sees the glint of metal. A group of riders is coming, their horses kicking up dust as they move toward him. Walter's hand instinctively rests on his rifle, his body tensing, ready for what is to come. The riders draw closer, their faces obscured by the dust. He can't see who they are, but he knows they are here for one reason: to take what does not belong to them. Walter's heart beats steady in his chest, his mind calm. He has faced worse, and he will face this as well. The riders reach the base of the hill, and Walter steps forward, his presence commanding. The leader of the group, a tall man with a scar across his cheek, stops his horse and eyes Walter with disdain. "We've come for the land," the man says, his voice cold and dismissive. "This is not your land anymore, old man. You're just a relic of a forgotten past." Walter stands tall, his voice firm as he replies, "You are wrong. This land is still mine, and it belongs to the legacy of my people, the wounded bear tribe. You will not take it." The man laughs, but there is no humor in it. "You think your ancestors will save you? Your people are gone. All that's left is dust and memories." "Memories," Walter repeats, his voice low and steady. "Memories are all that remain, but they are not weak. The spirit of my people still lives in this land, and I will fight to protect it." The tension between them thickens, the weight of their words hanging heavy in the air. Walter knows this is the moment. He knows that this battle will determine not just his fate, but the fate of everything his tribe stood for. He takes a deep breath, and with one swift motion, he draws his rifle. The first shot rings out, and the battle begins. The echo of the first shot reverberates through the dry air, and the outlaws hesitate for just a moment, caught off guard by the speed and precision of Walter's response. His rifle lowers, but his eyes never leave the leader, the man with the scar. The dust swirls around them, thickening the air and casting a haze that blurs the line between enemy and ally. The horses shuffle nervously, sensing the tension, but Walter stands firm. His heart beats steadily in his chest, calm despite the storm brewing before him. The leader spits on the ground, his expression hardening. "You've got guts, old man," he sneers. "But you're outnumbered. This land isn't yours to keep." Walter's gaze sharpens. He knows the stakes. This is more than just a fight for land. It is a fight for his people, for their memory, and for everything they stood for. The wounded bear tribe may be gone, but their spirit, their strength, lives on in him. "This land belongs to my ancestors," Walter says, his voice low but filled with authority. "And as long as I breathe, it will belong to them." The leader scoffs, signaling to his men. The outlaws draw their guns, the sharp clicks of the hammers cocking echoing across the barren land. The fight begins in earnest, a flurry of movement as the outlaws charge toward him, guns blazing. Walter moves with the precision of a man who has seen battle before, who knows the rhythm of combat. He is not quick, but he is deliberate, using the terrain to his advantage. His rifle fires again, taking down the first outlaw who dared approach too close. The sound of the shot is drowned out by the chaos around him, but Walter remains focused, his mind steady. He takes another shot, his aim true, and another outlaw falls to the ground. The others hesitate, looking at each other, unsure whether to advance or retreat. Walter's presence, his calm determination, begins to unsettle them. The leader barks an order, and one of the riders rushes forward, trying to flank him. But Walter anticipates this move, stepping aside just in time, using his opponent's momentum against him. With a quick twist, the rider is disarmed and sent sprawling to the ground. The other outlaws begin to falter, their confidence shaking. Walter knows he cannot afford to let up. He moves with the land, with the rhythm of nature, as though he is part of it, a force of the earth itself. His next shot is faster than the last, and the leader's closest ally drops to the ground, his gun spinning from his hand. The leader, now visibly enraged, turns his horse around, spurring it forward with a roar. "You can't win this fight, old man," he shouts, as though the words alone could intimidate Walter. But Walter does not flinch. He meets the leader's gaze with unyielding strength, his rifle aimed directly at the man's chest. "I'm not fighting for victory," Walter replies. "I'm fighting for what's right." The leader charges, but Walter is ready. He waits, his finger tightening on the trigger. In one fluid motion, he fires. The bullet hits its mark, and the leader's horse stumbles, throwing him to the ground. The remaining outlaws, now witnessing their leader fall, stop in their tracks. Their fear is palpable, and the realization that they have underestimated the old man sets in. The fight, once filled with noise and violence, quiets. Walter stands tall, his rifle still trained on the fallen leader. The outlaws, now wary and beaten, exchange nervous glances, their resolve crumbling. They were here for conquest, to take what was never theirs, but they have met something far stronger than they anticipated. One of the outlaws, the youngest, steps forward, his hands raised in surrender. "We didn't know," he says, his voice trembling. "We were just following orders." Walter's gaze softens, but his resolve does not waver. "You came to steal from those who have nothing left to give," he says. "But you will leave here with nothing." The young man lowers his hands, a mixture of fear and shame in his eyes. The rest of the group follows suit, slowly retreating, their eyes never leaving Walter. The battle is over. Walter watches as the outlaws retreat into the distance, their numbers thinning with every step they take. The land is quiet again, the only sound the wind as it moves across the desert. Walter's heart beats steadily, the adrenaline fading, but his resolve remains. He has defended the land, but more importantly, he has defended the legacy of his people. The wounded bear tribe may be gone, but their spirit lives on in him, and as long as he stands, the memory of his people will never be forgotten. The sun has set, casting the desert in a dim twilight. The night air cools the earth, and the soft rustle of the wind through the dry grass is the only sound that breaks the silence. Walter stands on the ridge, his figure a dark silhouette against the fading light. The battle is over, but the weight of what he has done lingers. His heart beats steadily, his mind still sharp, but the exhaustion of the fight, both physical and emotional, starts to settle in. He has defended the land, but the land is not just a piece of earth. It is the last connection to his people, to the wounded bear tribe. With the outlaws driven off, he knows that this is not the end. There will always be those who seek to take what is not theirs, and Walter understands that the fight for this land will never truly be over. He walks slowly back to his cabin, the fatigue in his bones now impossible to ignore. He steps inside, closing the door behind him, and the familiar scent of the firewood and the quiet darkness of his home greet him. The crackle of the fire in the hearth is a comforting sound, but it feels distant, like a memory that no longer belongs to him. Walter sits down by the fire, his rifle leaning against the wall. His mind wanders back to the day his tribe fell. He was just a young man then, filled with anger and confusion. The land they had fought for was taken from them, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but memories. He had stayed behind, too stubborn to leave, too proud to let it go. And now, here he is, the last of his people, guarding a land that had been forgotten by most. The fire casts shadows on the walls, and Walter watches the flames dance. The silence of the night seems to amplify the loneliness that has been with him for so long. He is the last of the wounded bear tribe, and it is a heavy mantle to bear. He knows the weight of his tribe's legacy rests on his shoulders, but he also knows that he cannot carry it alone. The old man feels the sting of solitude, the ache of knowing that there is no one left to share this with. His tribe is gone, their stories fading into the wind, their history slipping away with time. But Walter is not ready to let that happen. He stands up, a decision forming in his mind. He knows that he cannot protect this land forever. He is growing older, and the world is changing. But there is still hope. There are still stories to be told, legacies to be passed on. And it is time for him to start telling those stories. Walter grabs his rifle and walks outside again, the cool night air biting at his skin. He looks out over the land one last time, the familiar terrain stretching before him like an old friend. He doesn't know what tomorrow will bring, but he knows this. The spirit of his people will never die. As long as he stands, their legacy will live on. He may be the last of his tribe, but he is not the last of their spirit. He will pass on the stories, the traditions, the strength that runs through his veins. Walter walks toward the distant hills, his steps steady, the weight of his ancestors with him. He knows that his journey is far from over. The world is changing, but the land remains, and with it, the legacy of the wounded bear tribe. As long as he breathes, the stories will live, and Walter will carry them, just as his ancestors carried the stories before him. The desert winds carry the faintest scent of sagebrush as Walter walks across the land he has defended for so long. The sun has dipped low, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, and the shadows of the day stretch long behind him. He feels the weight of the past and the responsibility of what lies ahead, but there is a sense of peace in the air now. The battles, both physical and internal, are over. For the first time in many years, Walter feels the quiet embrace of the earth beneath his feet, the land he has spent a lifetime protecting. He pauses at the top of the hill, looking out over the wide expanse of land that was once the heart of his tribe. The wind tugs at his coat, and for a brief moment, he closes his eyes, letting the sounds of the desert wash over him. The distant call of a hawk, the rustling of dry grass, the whisper of the wind, they all seem to speak to him, to remind him of his ancestors, of the strength and resilience they carried in their bones. He knows that their spirit lives on through him. The wounded bear tribe may be gone, but their legacy remains in every step he takes, in every corner of this land. Walter opens his eyes, the soft light of the setting sun reflecting off the mountains in the distance. His heart swells with a quiet pride. He has done what he set out to do. He has defended the land and upheld the honor of his people. But there is more to be done. Walter turns away from the view, his steps purposeful. The world is changing, but the stories of his tribe, the values they held dear, must not be lost. He cannot let the history of the wounded bear tribe fade into the wind. He has a duty to preserve it, to share it with the world before it is forgotten entirely. As he walks back toward his cabin, he knows that this is not the end of his journey. It is only the beginning. He will tell the stories of his people, of their courage and strength, of the love they had for the land. He will pass on the lessons he learned from his ancestors, the wisdom that flows through his veins like the river that once fed the land. There is still time, he realizes, to rebuild something, to pass on the knowledge that the earth itself has carried for generations. The night falls over the desert, and Walter reaches his cabin, the familiar sight of it bringing him comfort. He steps inside and stokes the fire, the warmth spreading through the small space. The quiet of the night settles around him, and for the first time in years, he feels at home. The weight of his tribe's legacy is heavy, but it is also a gift. He is the last of the wounded bear tribe, but their spirit will live on as long as he breathes. Walter sits by the fire, his mind filled with memories of the past and hopes for the future. The flame flickers in front of him, casting shadows on the walls, but in the flickering light, he sees something more. He sees his people, his ancestors, standing beside him, their spirits as strong as the land they fought for. The desert may be vast and unforgiving, but it is also a place of deep connection, of stories that have been passed down through the ages. Walter knows that the fight for his land may never truly be over, but as long as he stands, he will protect it. As the fire burns down to embers, Walter stands, his resolve stronger than ever. The legacy of the wounded bear tribe will not be forgotten. It will live on, carried by him, carried by the land, and carried by the stories that will never fade. In this gripping tale of survival and legacy, Walter, the last of the wounded bear tribe, defends his land and the memory of his people from ruthless outlaws in the heart of the desert. As the tension builds, the story explores themes of courage, honor, and the unyielding connection to the land, showcasing the power of indigenous heritage through Walter's journey. His tribe may be gone, but their spirit lives on through him, making this one of the most compelling Western stories of resilience and strength. The epic battle for the land intensifies as Walter faces the outlaws, proving that even in solitude, a man's legacy can shape the future. His story is a reminder of the enduring power of Western stories that continue to inspire and captivate audiences. With each passing moment, the desert becomes a battleground where Walter's resolve is tested, and the land itself becomes a symbol of the unbreakable bond between a people and their history. As the final confrontation unfolds, Walter must decide how far he is willing to go to protect the land and preserve the legacy of his tribe. This Western story is not just about survival. It's about fighting for what is right and ensuring that the past is never forgotten. The spirit of the wounded bear tribe may have been scattered, but through Walter, their legacy remains a powerful force, proving that the stories of the Old West live on, inspiring future generations through the untold struggles of those who came before.